Welcome to This Explainer. Have you ever found yourself just pausing in the middle of a completely ordinary day, suddenly captivated by the ghost of a memory? Maybe it's a friend you haven't seen in years, a partner from a past life, a relationship that just naturally ran its course, or a loved one who has passed on. It is a profoundly universal experience, isn't it? We hold on to people long after they're gone, carrying their memory around almost like an invisible weight in our minds. Today, we're diving deep into this inherently human phenomenon. We're going to explore not just that raw, heavy feeling of longing, but the absolutely fascinating science, psychology, and evolutionary biology behind why certain people leave such a permanent, indelible imprint on our lives.
Sometimes it really doesn't take much at all to bring them rushing right back to the forefront of your mind. A specific song plays on the radio, and boom, you are instantly transported to a car ride from 10 years ago. You walk past a familiar coffee shop, or maybe you uncover an old photograph in a drawer. Or, and this is a big one, maybe it's a sudden smell, the scent of a particular perfume, or rain hitting hot pavement. There's actually a brilliant scientific reason for this. The olfactory bulb, which is the part of your brain that processes smell, has a direct, hardwired anatomical connection to the amygdala and the hippocampus. Those are the brain's primary emotional and memory centers. That means a smell bypasses your conscious thought entirely, and just like that, suddenly, there they are. You remember their exact voice, you remember the way they laughed, and for a fleeting, breathtaking moment, it almost feels as if they are standing right there beside you. Which brings us to a really deep scientific mystery. Why do we miss people so much? Seriously, why can someone's physical absence continue to shape our emotional reality and totally dictate our internal world long after they've left the stage of our lives? To truly understand this, we have to look past the poetry of our emotions and examine the ancient, hardwired architecture of our brains.
Let's jump right into Section 1, Wired for Connection.
So, from an evolutionary perspective, needing others isn't just some pleasant, warm, and fuzzy feeling. It is a biological imperative. If you look back, say, 300,000 years to our hunter-gatherer ancestors, humans didn't survive because we were the biggest or the fastest or the strongest animals out there on the savannah. Not even close. We survived because we worked together. We formed family units, we built communities, and we forged really deep social bonds. For early hominids, isolation literally meant certain death. And because of this stark reality, our brains evolved to treat social separation as a physical threat. Connection wasn't a luxury, it was the absolute baseline for survival. And because connection was paramount to staying alive, the brain developed a genius system to ensure we stayed close to our pack. When we're near someone we deeply care about, our brain continuously rewards us with this powerful cocktail of neurochemicals. Oxytocin floods our system, building trust and deep bonding. Dopamine lights up our reward centers, giving us that hit of pleasure. Serotonin stabilizes our mood and provides this overarching sense of security. So, when someone we love leaves, that steady supply of rewarding chemicals drops off a cliff. Missing someone is not just sadness, it is a physiological event. It's a biological shock to your system, honestly akin to a form of chemical withdrawal. Your brain is just desperately craving the neurochemical equilibrium that specific person provided.
Over time, the people we care about actually become physically embedded into the interconnected web of neurons in our brain. Think of neural pathways kind of like well-worn paths in a really dense forest. The more you walk a specific trail with someone through repeated habits, daily routines, little inside jokes, the clearer and easier that path becomes to navigate. Their presence becomes your brain's new normal baseline. When they leave, the brain is suddenly forced to stop using that super familiar trail and hack a brand new path through totally uncharted wilderness. This takes immense cognitive energy. It causes profound distress as your neural pathways struggle to adapt to a new reality that violates all of its deeply ingrained expectations.
This brings us to Section 2, the attachment system. This biological adaptation leads us straight into the realm of psychology. Pioneered by brilliant researchers like John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, attachment theory describes the enduring emotional bonds we form with the people who matter most to us. Bowlby discovered that humans use key relationships as a secure base from which to explore the world. Think of your attachment system essentially as an internal radar for safety. When a person who served as your secure base leaves, this internal alarm system goes off. Even when they are physically gone, your emotional attachment system remains highly active, continuously and subconsciously scanning the environment for the connection that once made you feel safe.
You see this play out in everyday life through these deeply instinctive reactions. Have you ever reached for your phone to text someone only to remember a split second later that they aren't there anymore? Or maybe you hear some great news and your very first thought is, oh man, I have to tell them.
Neurologically, this is remarkably similar to phantom limb syndrome. Just as an amputee might feel an itch on an arm that is no longer there, your brain reaches out for a missing person because your internal neural map stubbornly insists they still exist in your daily routine. That bond is still actively firing in your mind.
Let's look at section 3, mirrors of our identity.
This leads to a truly fascinating psychological realization. We often think we're simply grieving the physical absence of a person, their laugh, their voice, the specific way they occupied a room. But profound grief often hides a second, secret loss. We are actually mourning a past version of ourselves. Certain people act as mirrors, bringing out very specific parts of who we are. A childhood friend might remind us of a time when we were innocent and carefree. A grandparent might embody the pure, uncomplicated feeling of being protected. A former partner might hold the memory of dreams you once passionately shared. When we miss them, we're also grieving an entire chapter of our own life story and the unique version of our identity that literally only existed in their presence.
Moving right along to section 4, the softening of memory.
Fortunately, the brain acts as a brilliant protective editor. Through a process called neuroplasticity, our minds gradually adapt to protect us from the unbearable weight of continuous loss. Over the years, memories of a lost loved one go through a subtle evolution. A well-documented psychological phenomenon known as the fading affect bias begins to take over. What this means is that painful or negative details naturally soften and fade much faster than the positive ones. The brain essentially acts as emotional armor, actively pruning away the sharp edges of past conflicts or petty arguments. What it prioritizes, and what remains, are the moments of deep emotional meaning, connection, and warmth. This is absolutely crucial because it's what ultimately allows us to survive the loss and begin to heal. And this brings us to a beautiful, profound truth about the human mind. We don't remember perfection, we remember connection. We often look back on people with immense fondness after they're gone, not because they were flawless in life, nobody is, but because human memory naturally highlights what mattered most to our soul. The flaws just sort of blur. What stays vividly in focus are the moments of shared laughter, the quiet, unexpected kindnesses, and that profound feeling of being truly understood by another human being. Which brings us to our final part, section 5, the legacy of love. As we understand the deep science and psychology behind absence, we can begin to shift how we view our own longing. There is a profound truth we have to remember here. Missing someone is not necessarily a sign that we're stuck in the past. It is evidence that we loved. It's so easy to feel like the pain of missing someone means we're failing to move on, or that there's some kind of flaw in our psychology. But actually, scratch that. That couldn't be further from the truth. The pain of absence is the definitive proof that you cared. It proves that a relationship left a meaningful, indelible imprint on your life. If we never missed anyone, well, it would mean our connections never truly mattered. Over time, thanks to that incredible neuroplasticity and the brain's natural drive to heal, something remarkable happens to the human heart. The agonizing, sharp pain of initial loss begins to change. It becomes softer. It gets quieter. It stops feeling like an open, jagged wound and gradually transforms into a warm, deeply held memory. The biology of the brain directly creates this poetic piece. The absence is still there, for sure, but it no longer dictates your every waking moment. It becomes a permanent, beautiful part of the landscape of your life, rather than a storm disrupting it. And in that quiet, enduring space, what often remains is profound gratitude. When you pause to think about the sheer mathematical improbability of two people crossing paths in the vastness of human history, out of billions of people and thousands of generations, the fact that you found each other at all feels like a minor miracle. You get to reframe your loss into a deep appreciation for having shared even just a fraction of life's unpredictable, beautiful journey together.
Ultimately, the science of memory and the psychology of attachment tell us one truly beautiful thing. People never actually leave us. They live quietly within our memories. They invisibly influence the choices we make today. They shape the ongoing stories of our lives, and they remain safely kept in our hearts. We miss people because, in a very real biological and psychological way, they are still right here with us. They have permanently shaped the architecture of your mind and the person you have become. So, as you go through your day today, who do you still carry with you? Take a moment to just honor that memory, because holding on to the people who shaped us isn't a failure to move forward. It is a beautiful, enduring part of what makes us human.